Special announcement at the beginning of this video, skip to this timestamp if you want to skip it. I am being completely honest when I say that I have literally no idea where you guys come from. Quite literally, over 2 months ago, we were celebrating 50 subs, and now we've quadrupled in size. That's crazy to me. Like, I'm still in shock that we ever made it past 4 subs. But 200 people? That's a lot of people. I just want to thank each and every one of you so much for getting us here. Even though I can barely get past the 5-minute mark, I have terrible grammar, and I don't upload consistently, you guys still continue to support me. Even just by watching this video, you're supporting me. You guys mean the world to me. This community has been so welcoming and so kind, and I can never thank you all enough for that. Just the fact that you guys actually want to listen to me and hear what I have to say means so much to me. I wanted to do something special for my 200 subs video, so I thought that I would tell you a story from one of my experiences with the Zelda games. And since the title, I was disappointed in Breath of the Wild, is very clickable, I decided I'd tell the story of how I was very disappointed in Breath of the Wild. Shocker, right? Keep in mind, I've never drawn anything like an animatic before, so I'm sorry if it doesn't look too great. Alright, so one thing that anyone who knows me in person will tell you is that I hate remakes, and I hate remasters, and I hate adaptations of stories. I don't know why, but unless the story is exactly how it is in the original, my brain just rejects it entirely. And for some reason, if it's a franchise or an IP, I at least like it to mention the existence of the original. So younger me not knowing the timeline existed, or really anything about the Zelda franchise on a larger scale. Heck, at this time I thought A Link to the Past was the first Zelda game, so shows what I actually knew about the topic. But nevertheless, A Link to the Past was still a pretty big part of my childhood. So when I broke my leg in the summer of 2017, I figured, well, I'm not going anywhere anytime soon anyways, might as well give Breath of the Wild a shot. So I played Breath of the Wild, and I was terrible at it. I'm not even exaggerating. When I woke up in the Shrine of Resurrection, I assumed that the chests that hold the old set were for aesthetic purposes, and just walked right past them. And then 12 hours later, my roommate, who had already beaten a little bit of the plateau, just walked into the room and looked at me and said, "Why aren't you wearing any armor?" And then promptly pointed out that I'm in fact an idiot, and that the armor is quite literally at the start of the game. But after I finished the Great Plateau, I started making my way to the Dueling Peaks, and for some reason I kept dying. Like, there were times where I didn't even know what killed me because I didn't even see it, but I just couldn't get there. And it got to a point where the game started becoming genuinely stressful, so I quit because I already had enough on my plate. And that was that. I took the time to watch the memory cutscenes and the trailers on YouTube, but I never really progressed with the story. And then 2020 came around, and I suddenly had a lot more free time on my hands. Now, as I'm sure you guys know, almost 3 years left with nothing more than your imagination can lead to some pretty crazy ideas, and also some pretty high expectations. So I played a few Zelda games, and then got back and finished Breath of the Wild. But by the time I got around to finishing the game, my expectations were so high that Breath of the Wild just couldn't compete and seemed like a disappointment. Now, over the years, I've come to love and appreciate Breath of the Wild for what it is. In fact, it's one of my favorite video games, only rivaled by A Link to the Past and Link's Awakening. So, I guess what you can take away from the story is a warning not to raise your expectations too high. And that's not saying that you shouldn't have expectations, but let the media you're consuming speak for itself. I hope I worded that right. Thank you all so much for listening, and thank you guys so much for all the support on the channel. I think it's time for me to wrap up this video, but remember, our parting need not last forever.